Hello traders. So right now we are going to go through the 235 stocks that have hit my stock criteria and are on my master lists. I'm going to go through them as fast as possible. So what are the things that we look for before we even consider trading a stock? Number one, we want it to be a market leader. It needs to have a history, at least a recent history, of making new highs. We don't really like to bottom pick here. Occasionally we will do it, but for the most part, winners have a tendency to continue to win, so we try and pick our trades among the winners. My overall list today has 235 stocks on it. Now we're going to go through that whole list of 235 stocks. Probably I'm going to edit a lot of this out, so you may not see the whole list, and then I use that list to narrow it down to create the watch list that then gets posted on the site. So then you only can spend your time looking at the best stocks, and that's part of the value that I bring to you guys for the Stock Strategy Circle. Why waste your time doing all of this stuff when you don't have to? Frankly, I can do it for you. And so if you take a look at the screen chart, which it doesn't appear to be working, I rank stocks on the list based on their float. So I like to look at low float stocks first. Why? Low float stocks are the most likely to make big moves when the public gets interested in them because there's not that much stock around to buy. So it takes a lot less money to move a low float stock. So let's go off with the first one here. NVR has a break off and a pivot point. I'm going to add that one to the list. Sezzle, I think we're already in, but Sezzle is in a high box and we're going to add that one to the list. Flexible Solutions, we're already in. Here was your breakout right here. And this may turn out to be a key day. We're going to have to find out what happens with it when trading resumes. So since we're already in it, that one's going to go on the list. This one here, you can see I actually have a position in it in this Webull account. This one has not broken out yet. I got in it. We're going to add that one to the list. What you're going to find is that a lot of these are going to be worth looking at. This is Cavco. I don't know what's going on there, so we'll just move on. Here we go. This one broke out on Friday. So there's your resistance. There's your base. You got a nice deep cup there. This is a really interesting looking chart. We may have to come back to that one. Here's your high base. It broke out a while back. Well, that's in the wrong spot. I need an annotation that'll actually work for this. You know what? Let's try rectangle. Turn the circle off. Okay, here we go. There's your base, breakout, running up. I don't know if I have a position in this stock or not, but we're going to put it on the list. Here's another one. This one has not made a new high yet, but this qualifies as a base after a shakeout. Right here, there's your spike in volume coming out of it. This is a spring. Huge penetration of support. This is a very powerful stock. We're going to add this one to the list. There is a lot going on right now, frankly. Third Coast Bank shares. I don't know what happened with that box. Let's delete that. This thing is not doing what I want it to do. So how do I fix that? Turn this off. That's how. Right. Now let's try it again. Is that a box? No, it's not. It's a high level consolidation. There's better stocks. Maybe this one will be great. Maybe it won't. I am not going to add it to the list. Let's move on. It's not good enough. This whole thing may be a base. It's hard to tell because you have this big spike here. Let's move on. This one has already run. Maybe you could have traded this. Move on. Farmers and Merchants. Okay, so this is interesting with Farmers and Merchants. Farmers and Merchants has a huge, what I call a smile. It's kind of sloppy. So here's the thing, right? Everybody is expecting there to be an interest rate announcement. Okay, so maybe that's why old Farmers and Merchants is putting in a base. You might even have a head and shoulders here. Maybe I'll come back to this and do a video, but I'm not going to add it to the list because it's not quite what we're looking for today. But if you're a long-term investor, maybe that's not a bad way to go. All right, Sonic Automotive. This one's a little sloppy, kind of volatile. There's a pivot there. That may be a spring. I don't know. Let's look. Well, there's better things on the list. Home Trust Bank shares. Looks like it just made a new high. You'll see a lot of these companies on the list are banks. Let me show you something on the weekly on this one. Okay, the weekly, you have an increase in volume. You have a spring. You have a recovery from the spring. This one is looking like it's going to be good maybe as a breakout trade. So let's go back to the daily. If you were to trade this, you'd buy above a break here with a stop loss right there. I've traded in and out of this stock before, not recently, but before. We'll add that one to the list. Piper Sandler, I made another video about that earlier. This one is going to go on the list because my view is it's about to break out. It's got a huge shakeout, consolidation. It's in yet another consolidation. Your buy order should be up in here, waiting for the breakout if you're not already in it. You have this huge spring. Let's take a look on the weekly chart. There it is. If that ain't the mother of all shakeouts, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the market looks incredibly bullish right now, at least in the stocks I trade. Maybe if you're not following the winners, you know, the market looks like hell to you, but it don't look like hell to me. Here's another one. This one should definitely be on the watch list. Consolidation, breakout, consolidation, breakout, consolidation, breakout, spring, consolidation, consolidation. And looks like we got another breakout on Friday. Definitely watch list. Bridgewater Bank shares. This is another bank. The weekly chart looks okay. The daily chart is pretty volatile. This one again is another one where the weekly chart looks pretty good. This maybe is a box, but there's not a lot of volume there. These biotech companies are kind of hard to figure out, and they're so volatile that you never really know what's going on with them. Technoglass, spring, breakout, consolidation, and we're in another box right now. And let's add that one. ICU medical, consolidation, consolidation, consolidation. Now we're in another high-level base right there. This one's already broke out. I think I might actually have some shares on this one in another account. Notice I'm not talking about what they do, whether they make any money. None of that is relevant. Everything that can be known about a stock, in my view, is on it's on the chart. You know, if the price is going up, it's going up because people want to buy it. And if the price is going down, it's going down because people are selling it. And the only thing you need to be concerned about is whether or not it looks like that buying or selling is going to continue. The rest of it is nonsense. Heritage Insurance Corporation. So this one broke out of a huge base and it's still going up. It hasn't consolidated yet, so there's nothing there. It's so far extended, it's essentially doubled in value in less than a week. Well, what can you take away from that? Well, look at this, right? Here's your base, right? If we take a look at a weekly chart, it's probably going to be a spring in here. So yeah, there's a spring. It occurred on high volume. There's a volume spike with the low. The next week it recovered, went into another base, and then took off. You want to catch these before they happen, and there's actually two of them on this chart. Here's another one right over here. There's your spring, immediately recovers, a little bit of a consolidation, up, 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 another shakeout, new high. So this stock is under accumulation. I don't know who's buying it. I don't know why, but it's obvious on the chart. Am I going to chase it right here? No. Let's wait to see if it's going to consolidate. But this was a great one. We're going to leave it off the list because we have better ones to hold on to. Okay, this is El Pollo Loco restaurant. I actually bought El Pollo Loco on a breakout of this base. I held on to it into here, and then I sold it because I wanted to move the money into something else. El Pollo Loco looks like it might be going into a box. It had this nice basing pattern here, but it's not there yet, so we're going to leave it off the watch list. There's things that are ready to go now. There's no reason to wait for El Pollo Loco. Clearpoint Nero, here's a good example of, you know, what people might call a flag or whatever. You have this area here that goes down, this area that goes down, and you draw a little box around it. It looks like a pennant. This could also be kind of like a spring, but not quite, but I'll bet you maybe on the weekly chart. Let's see. Well, on the weekly chart, you have more of a smile pattern. This we covered in the course. We talk about that a lot. So we smile through here, okay? Volume going in, volume coming out, smile in the middle. You have a smile on the volume and a smile on the chart. This is exactly what you're looking for when you're looking for charts that are about to take off. This is a great chart. Unfortunately, this should have been caught 3 months ago. And look, so it is broke out. It is hammered through. This is a weekly chart that we're looking at. Let's look at the daily. On the daily, had you not seen all of that, you could see that your volume profile, there is a huge amount of activity taking place at this price level. And the minute it popped out of this price level, it has not turned back. I'm not going to add that one to the watch list because there's nothing going on that we can trade at this point, but that is an example of how this works when you follow the system and keep up with it. Okay, Innova International, we had a spike in price followed by a shakeout. Look at this enormous shakeout. If we look at this on a weekly chart, you're going to see that this one is more or less in a box right now. And so if this makes a new high, then you have a new box formed on the weekly chart. We're going to add this to the watch list. This is a tradable stock in my view. I may already be in it actually. One of the things that happens is the primary issue with me is money management. Money management is almost more important than the stocks you actually pick. Why? Because when you trade the way I trade, you buy breakouts. Volatile stocks tend to move up and they tend to move down. You don't want to put a whole lot of money in them in one spot unless it's like a total no-brainer. Then you can up your risk. But short of something being a total no-brainer, what I like to do is to only risk a couple $100 per position. If you're risking more than 2-3% of your account in any one trade, unless you're extremely good, eventually you will go broke as a trader. And so money management becomes key. So what would I do if I were to buy this stock using the strategy that I teach in the course? This would be a breakout buy right above here around 86.18, and you'd put your stop loss down here around $80, slightly below this area. Using this formula that I wrote, which by the way, I'll share with you if you ask. It's actually available on Trader's View, but I love their software though. I still use it. I'm actually a subscriber. So what this does is this helps me determine the risk, dollar amount risk in any particular trade, and I use average true range for the week in order to do it. So I take an 8-day average, 4 times multiplier, and I want to risk $200. You can put any number in here you want based on your account size. I don't like risking more than $200 regardless of my account size. So this tells me that I'm going to buy 22 shares. Now, if I buy 22 shares and this stock goes against me, if it gets below this area here and I sell it, I'm not going to lose more than $200. And if it keeps going up, once it becomes profitable, you just move your stop loss up, and the very worst that can happen is you break even, So that's basically how it works. And what ends up happening is over a period of a bull market, you will accumulate a lot of positions, especially if you have a large account and you're risking a little bit amount of money, but you will have many positions in stocks that are moving up. It's essentially like you're running your own growth mutual fund. But with today's technology, it's super easy. I mean, I'll even show you how to do it. I probably have more than 20 open positions right now, and I can go through all of them in 15-20 minutes. Super easy. Okay, we're done with this one. Okay, so here's another one, has almost exact same formation. And then the next bar stayed down. That's a shorting opportunity. That's not a buying opportunity. So with this one, you see it recovers quickly, goes into a consolidation, and it's been going up ever since. Does that mean it's going to go up again? I don't know, right? We trade the market that is presented to us, not what we think is going to happen. So I'm not even going to put that on a watch list. Okay, here we go. Castle Bioscience. There's a high level consolidation going into a tighter consolidation. You got 2 boxes right after each other coming off of high volume. Let's put this one on there. This is going to be pretty speculative, but again, I don't know what they do. I don't know why they do it. Here's what I know. Chart looks good. See this big swath of activity right here? How do I know that's accumulation? Well, I'm going to tell you, because price has gone up through this time period. You have this huge area here where price is up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. This looks like distribution. If this was distribution, you wouldn't have made a new high. That's why you don't trade in here unless you're looking to trade these levels. I don't typically do that, but you can. From here to here, $2 per share. The trouble is, I try to catch long runs. We're going to add this one to the list just because it has those 2 boxes, and that's pretty interesting. I think it's going to be worth you looking at. Cohen and Steers, I traded this one a while back. This one, again, has just broken out, made a new high, came out of a consolidation area, and it has set up a box yet again. Hasn't broken out yet. Look at this huge base. This thing went sideways from December of 23 all the way until July of 24, broke out, shook out. There's your spring. Got to clear out all of these stops before you take the price higher. So there you go. We're going to add this one to the list. It's probably going to be a big list this week. What ends up happening in a bull market is a lot of activity. Okay, Fathom Pharmaceuticals. This one's not going to go on the list, but there's a consolidation. You have all of this activity. Notice all of the activity around this price level, and it moves higher. This chart looks a little bit like distribution, but as you'll see, the point of control right here, every time it dipped below, it recovered. That tells you the stock's under accumulation. I can't remember if I traded this one or not. I think I might have. One of the issues with only dating stocks and not marrying them is that, so there are people out there who can tell you everything about like Apple stock. I can't, because I don't trade in and out of Apple. I don't know anything about Apple. I don't know anything about this company. All I know is when a stock looks right, I buy it. When it looks bad, I sell it. That's it. That's all I know. Funko. I traded in and out of this one a few years back and made money with it. This is an interesting chart. Funko here has a head and shoulders and a spring. Let's see if we can get that and make it easier to look at. Here's the head. Here's 2 shoulder areas of consolidation. followed by a massive run up. You got one more area of a tight consolidation, which could have traded for a profit. You know, if you'd have saw this box, I didn't, by the way, right? Hindsight's 2020. I didn't trade this one on this last run. Here's your box. It broke out of the box. It went into another high-level box, and then it went into yet another high-level box where it shook out, and then it shook out, and then it shook out. Is this a spring? Yes. See the spike in volume? You've cleared out all of the lows. You hit support right at the bottom of another area of this previous box, and then look, boom, it rocked right up, and now it's in an area of consolidation. Yet again, it just cleared the aisles one more time. This stock looks pretty strong. I'm going to add it to the list. And so here's an example of how my little formula works. This one, it says I should buy 115 shares. Okay, it's a $10 stock. I buy 115 shares. What is that? 1,500 bucks, something like that. You can do the math. But regardless, if it starts to go down and I decide to close it out, I'm probably only risking 200 bucks anyway. I don't know what's going on here. A lot of times when you see a chart like this, it's because a company's getting bought out. Chef's Warehouse, I have traded in and out of them a lot. Look at this huge mess right here. When you see this on a chart, this is incredibly bullish. Again, I get it. Hindsight is 2020, but some people call this a double bottom. If we look at a weekly, you're going to see that it's a huge spring. Look at this spring. Boom. So this up here, from here to here to here to here, is a stock with a broken back. We don't buy dips, right? We don't buy dips. Do not buy dips. But then you have this huge day right here. This huge day is not actually a spring. What we call this is an exhaustion move. And what this means is all of the sellers are done. They're done. Capitulation. They've thrown in their cards. Okay. This is a weekly chart. On a daily chart, this thing just looks like a friggin' mess. On a daily chart, you know, you would see this as an exhaustion move. You would want to short that, and then you could write it all the way down, moving your buy stop back behind these swing up positions until you get to here where you reverse your position. Now, here's what I want to show you coming off this bottom. We don't buy bottoms, but if you would have picked this consolidation box right here, here's your double bottom. Here's your base off the bottom. From here to here to here to here, you would still be in this stock if you were following my system, and likely you would have got stopped out at 36. So you could have easily gone from 24 to 36 without a whole lot of work. Now, what's it going to do next? I have no idea. All I can tell you is it's a leading stock currently. It made my screening of leading stocks. This could be a shakeout. This could also be just a nightmare. On the weekly chart, on the weekly, that's a spring. You see you have the spike in volume, capitulation in price, next bar recovers. We've gone into a recover. At this point, it would be kind of nice if we saw a consolidation. I'm not going to add this one to the list, but if you want to follow it, it is Chef's Warehouse. Moving on. Comfort Systems is already on the list. It was on the last watch list I posted. Why? So there's this huge consolidation. This could either be distribution or accumulation. Let me show you something else. One of the other charts I like to use, which is available on TradeView, this is called a Renko chart. Basically what a Renko chart does is it discounts time and mostly looks at price movement. So each one of these bars does not represent a set amount of time. It could be 1 week, it could be 6 weeks. That's not what it's doing. All it's doing is it's measuring actual price movement. So when the price moves up a certain amount, it makes a new bar. If it moves down a certain amount, it makes a new bar. And so what that helps you establish is what kind of activity is taking place at a certain price level. So when you take one of these charts and then add your on-balance volume or PVT on top of it, what that helps you determine, and I'm going to make this nice and fat, and let's turn it a lighter purple so you can actually see it. Okay, hopefully you can see that. What you can see taking place through this whole time frame is that even though price is going down, on balance volume, or price volume trend in this case, is not making new lows with price. This stock is being accumulated, and that has nothing to do with the rest of this price activity here. Completely irrelevant. What matters is the stock being accumulated or not? I believe this stock is being accumulated, and so even though, let me find out how to escape this. Oh my God, I'm gonna scream any minute. There's supposed to be a little box here, okay. Boom. Now we go back to our regular chart. Now take what we just looked at in your mind and say, okay, I just looked at my Renko chart, and that is showing me that this stock is probably under accumulation. And we look over at the daily chart, and here's what we see. This wide swath of price action, okay? Huge support where the volume is, The price stayed above the point of control most of the time. This is indicative of accumulation. And then we had a consolidation followed by another consolidation box, and Thursday we broke out of this box. Now, maybe this is the end of the line. I don't know. We're going to keep watching this one because this can be pretty powerful. Let's look at it on a weekly. Now, on a weekly chart, this is why you want to check different time frames. On a weekly chart, this thing is going from one box into another box, into another box, into a wider box, into a smaller box, into yet again one more box. And also what is apparent on the weekly, you got a spring. This stock cleared the aisles before it made a new high. This could be distribution. It might also be a higher level base. It would have been great to have caught it down here. Maybe we can catch it up here. I'm going to leave it on the list. You can do what you want with it. I go to search trades. Again, like I said, I generally start with the stocks that have the smallest float and work up to the stocks that have the biggest float. And if all of the money gets invested in low float stocks, well, then I don't have anything left to trade in one of these. A lot of times that's how the decision is made. I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's a total mess. This looks like it's a spring. The weekly chart, there may be a double bottom here on the weekly chart. I don't know. I'm taking this one off the list. I don't like it. I don't like it anymore. There's too many other good opportunities. It's just too noisy. Evercore, there's your box. You got a shakeout off that high. I don't know what's going to go on with this one. You'll see that a lot of these growth stocks had this shakeout at about the same time period. This one is well above its point of control. Okay, so that's interesting. It's establishing a new point of control. So the new point of control is somewhere around 241 on this one, but it's not there yet, right? Most of the activity took place down around 196. If you see this point of control move up to here, then probably, you've established a whole brand new base for a nice long run. And just because I talked about it so much, we're going to leave it on the list. Moving on. This could be a whole lot of accumulation. This is a big shakeout. There's been 2 shakeouts, actually. Let's look at a weekly. Doesn't really look much different. I don't know what to say about this one. And because I don't know what to say, we're going to leave it off the list. By the way, the fact that it even made this screen that we're going through, it's already a market leader. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to pick the best of the absolute best. And we do that based on activity, not hopes and dreams. So here you have your shakeout. It's gone into another consolidation. So this one has a potential buy set up in it right now. You're going to buy, I would buy a breakout at 155 with a stop loss around 148 if I'm going to risk $200. This says buy 13 shares. Well, okay. I don't know that I'm going to trade it or not, but I'll put it on the list so you can take a look at it in your own time. Monday.com, have no idea what this is. There's your box. There's your shakeout. Huge consolidation. Let's take a peek at a weekly real quick. A weekly chart has a run up followed by a shakeout, run up followed by a shakeout, run up followed by a shakeout. That's accumulation almost always. The trouble is whether or not it shakes you out. That's why risk control is so important. If you're going to trade off of a weekly chart, you have to adjust your trade positions based on what you think the weekly chart price action is going to do. So if I trade this based on a daily chart, I'm going to buy 6 shares now according to this. If I flip this over to a weekly, on a weekly chart, in order to balance the account out for volatility, it's telling me only buy 2 shares. Why? Well, because your stop loss has got to be all the way down here on a weekly chart. That's a lot of money. It's a wide range. So in order not to blow your account up, if you're going to trade based on a pattern off of the weekly chart, you have to set your position size accordingly. Unless you don't care. If money management's not your thing, well, okay, good luck. Oh, you know what? I wanted to add that one to the chart. Okay, that one's on the watch list. This company probably got bought out. I don't know. Oh, here you go. Here's another biotech. This biotech is in a high-level box. Has increasing volume down here. You like to see that. Came out of a box, right? So that's pretty good. I don't know what the company does. This looks pretty bullish. Let's add that to the list, even though I'm not a big fan of biotechs. They have a tendency to bounce around a lot. Green Brick Partners. We have that same box formation yet again. I'm not too thrilled about that one. Let's move on. Okay, Gen sounds like a biotech, but I don't know for sure. There's a box. Here's another box. So is that the end of this run or is it just the beginning? Here, look at this. Here's a box. But before the new peak happened, it did a shakeout. Let's look at this on a weekly chart just so you can get an idea. Here's that same point, right? We go up, we penetrate the support, huge spike on volume, very next bar up, up, up. That's what you're looking for. Do you want to buy it today? I don't know. It depends. It's not a stock market, it's a market of stocks. And so you have to take each stock and try to figure out what you want to do with it. So here's another breakout of a high-level consolidation on Writer Systems. I'm not going to add it to the list. Construction Partners, there's your box. Maybe it's going to make a new high, maybe it's not. It's got the same shakeout. There's a spike in price, or support is kind of in the middle. Let's add this one to the list. Horizon Bank Corp. I actually traded into this, lost some money, got shook out, and now maybe it's going to about to go higher again, right? Well, I don't know. I'm going to leave it off the list because once bit, twice shy. Tyler Technologies. It's in a box right now. Here's another one, big box. This box shook out before it broke out. It shook out a couple days later, huge volume as it recovered price. From that price recoverment, it went into another box for about a week, and then it went into another box. And so how do you know if the price is in a box? Well, because it looks like it. It's more art than science. I will add this one to the list, so if you want to go back and look at it, you'll be able to find it easier. One of the challenges with this is because I do it based on shares outstanding and not alphabetical order, I have a tendency to lose my way in the list. This stock looks incredibly bullish to me, and I'm going to tell you why, but not on this screen. First of all, this is a box. Okay, we are in a box right now. It hasn't broke out, but we're in one. You have a smile in volume in the past, followed by another smile in volume, right? Smile, smile. We talked about that in the course. Hopefully you took the course, you know what I'm talking about. While those smiles in volume were happening, you have multiple basing going on, breakout on huge volume, a drop in volume as we go into this consolidation period. Okay, you see that? All right, now, first of all, I'm going to flag this one. Boom. Okay, and let's go to weekly chart. Tells a similar story, but it looks better. Here we go. This long area here, markdown. Boom, right? There's your markdown phase. Your point of control on this stock runs right through the middle of this price activity since the end of the markdown phase, which occurred somewhere in 2023. Then we go into base, right? We have a shakeout of that basing period, not a lot of volume, followed by another base, followed by another base, and the other base has a smile right in the middle of it. Now this is a weekly chart, okay? Weekly chart. What's the Renko chart tell us? Okay, you go on a Renko chart, and again, this is the same information, but it's displayed a little bit differently. What do we have here? The Renko gives us a smile that goes all the way back from 2022 up until February 24. Then we go into a base. What's your PVT doing? Right? Massive new highs. This is an incredibly powerful stock. Doesn't mean it's going to go, but this is exactly what you want to look for. You see something like this, you might say, maybe I should trade this one. In fact, hopefully I remember to come back to this one because it's pretty powerful looking. Now, because the base took place on a weekly chart, it might take a while for this stock to go from 70 back up to 130. Maybe this is a longer term trade for you. Do this off the weekly chart, I would probably only buy about 10 shares, so $700 to $1,000. Put my stop loss way down here, forget about it for a while. If you're going to trade it off of a daily chart, your stop loss is going to be a little bit closer, but you got to remember, this stock is prone to shakeouts. You got to pay attention to volatility. Anyway, you can go back and look at that one. Here's another example of that wide area of price activity that, is this distribution? Is this accumulation? Who knows? Let's take a look at the Renko chart and see what's going on. Here's that same area, right? What's PVT doing? It's not making new lows while this is making new lows. That tends to indicate that this area here is accumulation, but we're not going to put that on the chart. Why? I don't know. You got to make these decisions somehow. CyberArk Software. Look at this. Smiling volume, smiling price, shakeout, volume on the breakout, big consolidation. If you were trading investment business daily style, they would call this like a saucer, cup with a handle. Okay, whatever. On your weekly chart, remember it looks a little bit different, but there it is. In your weekly chart, this could be a high level base. Distribution looks very similar to a base. So, you got to be careful going in that. That's why we buy them on the way up and we sell them if they show any weakness. If you're not sure if you're looking at the distribution or accumulation, you can come over to your Renko chart. And you know what? I don't have any indication either way, right? It's flat line. Earnings are all positive. One of the things I like about Trader's View is it gives you all of the earnings right across the bottom. Green, 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 green. So that's pretty good. When you have companies that are posting green earnings, the public likes them. And now again, one of the reasons why all these stocks look so good is because you don't get on this list to begin with unless you're worth looking at. GI Therapeutics, I don't know what's going on with this one. Granite Construction, okay, right, here we go. There's your box, there's your box, there's your box. I'm gonna put this one on the list. There's no buy point on here yet. We gotta wait for a pullback or a shakeout or a point of accountability or something, but there it is. If that's not an example of what you should be looking for, I don't know what is. BioLife Solutions, you'll notice that a lot of biotechs, you're just like crazy volatile. I honestly, I try not to trade them. I'm not even going to talk about this biotech anymore. UMB Corporation, base. It's already broken out. It's kind of sloppy. See all of this volume right here? Because of all of this volume, it's very hard to tell if what you're looking at is accumulation or distribution. Price volume trend is holding up, so that's a good sign if you're interested in this stock. I think we've looked at better charts, so we're going to leave this one alone too. Carlisle Companies. Is this a spring? Could be. If Carlisle Companies makes a new high, this is a spring. If Carlisle Companies rolls over, then this is nothing and maybe you should short it. So there you go. We're not going to talk about Carlisle Companies anymore. H&I, same thing again, right? Here's your little boxes, right? Here's something you can look at. Old points, resistance points on the boxes, the box tops tend to become support. So if you see a breakout, okay, which we see right here, breakout followed by a pullback, which then hits the top of the box, that's extremely bullish. You can buy that new high almost always, but there's nothing here on that one today, so we're going to move on. Monolithic Power, shakeout, lasted one day. The very next day, it made a new high. So that is extremely bullish. It's not that far extended. It hasn't set up a new box yet. So you know what? Let's delete that because I don't want to mislead you. That is not a box. Let me show you where I think the box is though. There was a box on here. This was the box. And it already broke out of it. It has not formed a new one yet. If you were to trade this, you'd be looking to sell if it got a close below $725, right? So that's an expensive stock. Doesn't matter, right? It's all based on percentages anyway. So you buy one share. If it goes from 700 to 1400, you doubled your money. Fresh Pet has an enormous spring, has a spike in volume. Here's another spike in volume, another spike in volume, another spike in volume. There is a huge base on this chart, which goes all the way back to June of 22. I mean, it's just huge. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spikes in volume. There's no question in my mind Fresh Pet is under accumulation. It's inside of the box right now. It broke out on Friday, but it closed down. So maybe you wait to see if it makes a new high. I'm going to add this one to the list right there. By the way, this is a weekly chart. Let's go back to the daily. The daily chart doesn't look too hot, right? Here's the daily chart. Not too hot. What do you have on the daily chart though that is interesting? Okay, here's your spikes. There's a shakeout, obviously. You have plenty of smiles and volume. This smile and volume actually corresponds to smiling action in the price. Smile, smile. This is exactly what the course tells you to look like. That doesn't mean it's going to be a winner, right? Frankly, the weekly chart looks better than the daily. I have traded in and out of this a few times. You have a high level consolidation right here. I actually traded this breakout down here, but then I got bored and sold it, which, hey, look at that. Turns out it was a mistake. Cost me $500 a share. I'm going to add this one to the list. It's a high price stock, but it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Jones Lang LaSalle. There's a spring. That one's already on the list. If you checked the watch list last week, it was on there. I don't know what this is. This is just a nightmare, so let's move on. By the way, not every chart is tradable. Look for the stuff that you go, oh my God, this one's so obvious, right? There's thousands of stocks. This one could be building into a consolidation. This could also be distribution. So what do we do when we see that? Well, let's take a look at what we have going on with the Renko chart. And the Renko chart is a little bullish, right? It would have to be because it's on this list. Remember, this is a list of companies that are the best performing stocks out there right now. Not the best performing companies, the best performing stocks. But we're not going to add it to the list because there's better charts. Exponent, here's a box. You got a breakout. Then you got a shakeout. Then you went into consolidation. Now you're in another box. There's a spike here. Exponent, I'm going to put on a watch list. This activity is extremely bullish. It's extremely bullish. Here's a high level base that has been going on since April. That is a giant smile. What does that mean? One of the things you can do is you can change the time frame of your chart, and that makes things look different. So if I pull in data going all the way back to 2022, look at what's happening on this chart. The point of control is right where it is right now. It's at the point of control, which means if this stock is going to go up in value, it's going to find lots of support right here around 67. Now, this is a low volatility, completely boring sort of thing, but that doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. There's your box. It's in it right now. So, what are you going to do with that one? I'm going to put it on the list, because probably with this long of a base, if this one actually does make a new high, it's probably going to go pretty far. And if it doesn't, you have a pretty solid indication right here of when to get out. Now, you may check the news, which I'm not going to do because I don't care. I'm probably not going to buy this one anyway. But you may check the news and find out that the tender offer has been made on this stock at 69.23 or whatever, and that's why it's done this, because everybody's selling their stock because it's going private anyway. That's very common. Or maybe it's just basing up, ready for an explosion. Hawaiian Holdings, right? I don't know what that is. Let's move on. Another banking stock, right? These small banking stocks, they all have a very similar pattern. Everybody is expecting the Fed to do something that's going to help the banks. Oh, okay, whatever. Prices either go up or go down. I don't care about any of that. Modine Manufacturing. I've traded in and out of this one a couple of times over the last few years. We are in a box. We are coming off of a shakeout. We're also coming off of this huge area of support. Notice it dipped below the point of control for one day. Closed up, immediately consolidated, and it's been going up ever since. That is bullish. Same thing, tight area of consolidation, shakeout. This is very bullish. Also, you have a pretty defined area point of control. Like if this stock closes, significantly below 51, 52 area, it's probably done. The back is broken. But if it doesn't, if it breaks out high, this is going to be a new base established for a nice long run. I'm going to add this one so you guys can come back to it and look at it later. Cirrus Logic, shakeout. It's consolidating right now. Now this is a tight consolidation. I'm going to put that on the list. Cabot Corporation, again, shakeout, consolidation inside of a high-level box. Trans, right, this one formed a box and then it broke out 2 days later and made a new high. Shakeout. Dick's Sporting Goods, there's another high-level consolidation coming off of a base. Shakeout. It's right above the point of control, and there was another high-level consolidation right before it went into the consolidation it's in now. That's pretty bullish. You have this huge amount of support right here at 2021. Again, let's put this one on the list. It's worth watching. Dick's Sporting Goods has been under accumulation for a while. Champion Homes. There's a box. There's a box. Here's a big box. Okay, now, this is what's so interesting. You have a big box, followed by a breakout, followed by a shakeout, followed by a new box, little box, little box. That is extremely bullish activity. So you risk 20 shares, right? You buy a new high, put a stop loss down here, let it ride. It's either going to go or it's not. Like I said, it's painless trading because you're not going to go through any pain worrying about it. It either works or it doesn't. Market makes all the decisions. There's nothing to even get excited about. Here's another one. These stocks look incredibly bullish right now. World Kinetic Corporation, very similar pattern. Again, extremely bullish. Q2 Holdings, shakeout. That's even a spring. This is a tight consolidation. We're going to add that one to the list. If this one's going to do anything, it'll probably do it next week. Bright Horizons Family Solutions. There's your high-level box. Just broke out of the box a couple days ago. Look at this. While everything else was shaking out, this one was breaking out. That's extremely bullish. It's on the list. Brightview Holdings. There's your smile. Same time period. You have a smile in the volume. 1, 2, 3, 4 spikes in volume. This is incredibly bullish. You have a breakout, followed by a shakeout, followed by a base. There's your base. And now we're in a high-level consolidation. It is highly likely. Okay, let me rephrase that. This is bullish. It's on the list. I don't know what this is. Here is another high-level base with a massive shakeout. They really cleared the aisles on this one. After they cleared the aisles, they put it into a tight range, tight box. This extremely bullish. I don't know anything about this company. It is extremely bullish. Here's a company called The Honest Company. Probably one thing you can tell for sure about a company that calls itself The Honest Company, it's probably run by crooks. I don't know that for sure. I don't really care. The stock looks bullish. Look at this shakeout. There's a shakeout that lasted for a full week. But if we look at it on a weekly chart, well, it's a shakeout that lasted for like a week. And it is right here above the point of control. And there's very little resistance on this stock between where it is now and all the way back up here, right? So this one can go from 4 to 20 and maybe it'll have some trouble getting above 957. Well, guess what? From 5 to 950 is almost 100% return on your money. I'm going to put this one on the list, even though I don't trust anyone named Honest Company or Honest John. National Sin Media. I don't know. See, one of the issues is when you only follow really good stocks is all of the charts you look at on your really good stock watch list look good. Squarespace, there's a smile. Here's a high level consolidation. This one's going to go on the list. It may come back off the list because this here looks a lot like the company got a tender offer. Squarespace officer sells shares under trading plan, announces, I don't know. If they didn't get a tender offer, this is a pretty good deal. If they got a tender offer, well, it doesn't matter. Company's not going to be available for you anyway. Neutronics Therapeutics, shakeout, followed by a consolidation, high level base. I hope you're getting the point that there is tons of opportunity right now, tons of opportunity. Everybody's talking about how horrible, the economy is. Okay, well, guess what? I don't know if the economy is good or bad, and honestly, I don't really care. What matters is the stock market looks good, because I trade the stock market. I don't trade the economy. Most of the time, they've been telling me that, recession this, and we're all going to die, and stock market makes new highs. Look at this shakeout on the weekly chart. This is a company called RadNet. I have no idea what they do. Don't really care. That is extremely bullish. This one's worth looking at again. Here's your consolidation. This is about as deep a smile as you're ever going to see. Look at that thing. That is one happy smile, followed by a shakeout, immediate recover, consolidation. Then you get this spring, and then literally the very next day goes back up. So this chart is another one that is incredibly bullish. Again, spring, spring, spring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 spikes in volume. There's no consolidation on this chart yet, so we're going to leave it off. One of the hardest things to do when you're trading in a good bull market is to determine, which stocks are the best of the best. Where are you going to go to get the biggest bang on your buck? Shakeout. This is Jackson Financial. I don't know anything about Jackson Financial, but here's a huge shakeout followed by a consolidation. Probably going to make a new high on Monday. Bank United, another bank. Dyne Therapeutics. So this is an interesting chart. You have of spring. You have a high level consolidation. I don't know what these guys make, but it's a pretty strong chart. You know what? We're going to add that. It's not the strongest, but it's not bad. Gartner. That's a mess. Guidewire. There's your decrease in volatility. Looks like it has earnings coming up, so that's interesting. A lot of times you'll see that stocks quiet down before earnings. The point of control is shifting. So there's a lot of people here building up positions in anticipation of earnings. Light and Wonder, you have a consolidation in here. It's right above the point of control. Another bullish chart. Tenet Healthcare. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say this is extremely bullish. Look at this giant shakeout that took place. Okay, right? Boom. And then the very next day it recovered. So they cleared the aisles before they took it up, and that one's already on the watch list. So there you go. That one I posted last week. Ameriprise Financial broke out of its consolidation on Friday. Has not made a new high yet. Maybe this one's still in play, maybe not. I would like to see this one make a new high. Okay, here's Stifel Financial. Again, we're seeing very similar patterns all across these stocks, right? We had a huge shakeout a while back, followed by an immediate recovery, followed by these repeated bullish box formations. Stifel Financial has 3 boxes and it hasn't even made a new high yet. Guess what? It's on the list. Extremely bullish. Huge spike in volume. I like this company. I have no idea what it does. I like this chart. We'll put it on the list. Look at this one. ACI Worldwide. Huge shakeout via deep consolidation, followed by a breakout. Also on the list. Highwoods Properties. Another breakout, followed by a deep consolidation, or a narrow consolidation, on the list. Western Alliance Bank Corp. Look at that. Box. You got 3 boxes in a row on this one. You know what's going to be hilarious is when the Fed doesn't actually cut rates, then these stocks are all going to get crushed. But if they do, you just sell them. We're not married to these stocks, we're just dating them. Piedmont Office Realty Trust, right? I thought commercial real estate was going to collapse. It probably is. Does this company do commercial real estate? I have no idea. Box, shakeout. Here's that same pattern again. This is bullish. One of the issues with trading the stocks the way I do is you tend to have a tendency not to find many examples of bearish stocks, because I'm not trading a list defined by anything other than the stock is already a winner, right? You bet on winners to win. So if you already have a system that is designed to weed out all of the dogs and injured stocks and companies that are on the verge of bankruptcy, well, you're never going to look at them, right? Now, when you trade the way I do, it kind of sucks when you're in a bear market because there's not that many trades, but it is what it is. Here's one that, as you can see in the past, right? Hindsight's 2020, but here's your shakeout. It made a new high from 56 to 63 in 2 weeks. Halozyme Therapeutics. What's funny about Halozyme? I traded it and I got shook out. Yeah, it happens. Here's a high level consolidation coming off again, this huge shakeout. Parker Hannifin, right? Parker Hannifin, what do? Big industrial. Look at this huge area of price activity. We are above that right now. $600 a share. It's on the list now. There you go. There's a smile. There's a shakeout. That's kind of a sloppy smile. The market's been so much volatility recently that their smiles are they're hard to come by. But here you go, right? It's there. And then here's your smile in the volume, right? All of the pieces are there from the course. There's a shakeout after a breakout. Here's a base. It's outside of the base right now. I'm going to stick this one on there, although I'm not that thrilled by it because of all that volatility. I don't know what these guys do, but this looks like it's going to be the first box. Hasn't made another box, but you have 1, 2 spikes in volume. If we look at this on a weekly chart, you're going to see that this is going to be a spring, right? There's a spring for the week. Now, what's going to happen with this one? Is it going to go on to make new highs, or is this the last hurrah before it rolls over? I don't know, but the support is really close, right? 176. This one's worth taking a look at, putting it on the watch list. Perimeter Solutions. This is interesting. It made a key day on Thursday. Didn't make a new high. Came out of a high-level consolidation. Had a shakeout. Pretty good. Newmark Corp. It has made a box. GoDaddy. I use GoDaddy for my web addresses. There's a breakout on Friday coming out of a box following a nice long run up. GoDaddy's going on the list. I like that. And not because I use the technology. The chart looks good. The fact that I use the technology, that's a whole other thing, right? Another financial company. Gee, what a shock. BlackRock made a new high. Now, why do I say it like that? Well, BlackRock is kind of like the man behind the curtain. I don't want to get into any conspiracy theory bullshit here, but I don't trust BlackRock. And you know what? I'm going to put it on the list just because I don't trust them. Okay, Cousins Incorporated here. There's a box coming out of a box, and it just made a new high. Garmin, new high. Okay, Public Storage broke out, went into a box, made a high on Friday, had a shakeout. It's a little extended, but the box is there, right? So if it makes a new high, you might get in. Here's a Realty Trust. This one's about to make a high-level box. It has already come off of its shakeout. There's a small Head and Shoulders bottom right here. So this looks pretty bullish. I'm going to put it on the list. Westinghouse Air Brake. So shakeout, hasn't made a new high yet. This here could be kind of bearish. Let's wait and see if it makes a new high. There's been a lot of activity in these kind of industrial companies that maybe make train parts. American Rail Car is another one that is a smaller company, but its stock has been on fire lately. Interestingly enough, it hasn't popped up on this list, so I'm a little puzzled by that, because I did watch it a while back. I don't think I traded it though. Moody's Corporation. Okay, here's a shakeout. Here's another shakeout, followed by your breakout, followed by a run. Now this one hasn't consolidated anywhere yet, but as you look at the chart, you can see box, box, box. 1, 2, 3. 3 boxes, probably 2 more to go. I'm going to put Moody's on the list. Okay, AppLoving Corporation, I actually own some shares in, so full disclosure there. I bought in this little box right here because I saw this massive spring, okay? It currently is in another little high-level box. I have no idea what this company does. All I'm telling you is it's got a shakeout, it's got a couple of boxes. In my case, it's worth trading. I don't know how many shares I have. I got it in another account. We'll probably go over that on another video. So according to my volatility meter, I would only trade like 11 shares of this. TransUnion. I actually bought TransUnion. I think I sold it. Here's why I bought it. Here's your box. It has gone into another box. I believe I took profits on TransUnion because I didn't like this weak behavior. If TransUnion, now what do I mean by weak behavior? Well, look at this. It made another new high. Springs can happen upwards too. They call them upthrusts. If you make an upthrust through a new position of resistance and then there's no follow through or you immediately break down, that is bearish. That's how you know that a move is almost done. So in this case, TransUnion, let me see if I can zoom in on this. I'm going to zoom in pretty far, otherwise you're not going to be able to see it. Okay, so here's your box, breakout, breakout, and on the third day you have a new high followed by the very next day. There's no follow through. In fact, there's a low, low. Now, it did come back and it touched this previous area here. Remember, I told you that sometimes box highs can turn into the support for the next move up. So that's the case. Maybe I was early. Typically, you want to put your stop loss after the new bottom of the box is put in, right? So I sold it a little early, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're not married to the stocks. We're only dating them. We buy and sell them all the time. If it looks like it's going to get strong again, I might just go ahead and buy back into it. You're allowed to do that now. Commissions are cheap enough. It's not a problem. So we're going to put it on the list, even though if my mind is correct, I sold it. Service just made a new 52-week high coming out of a box, coming off of the shakeout. I have no idea what this company does, but this stock looks pretty bullish. We're going to add it to the list. Extra Space Storage had a shakeout along with the rest of the stocks, but it wasn't actually punished that bad. There's another box. It's in its third box. Maybe it's going to make a new high, maybe not, but I added it to the list so you can take a look at it. CubeSmart just entered a tight consolidation. A lot of consolidations like this turn out to be the end of moves, so that's why you typically want to try and get something while it's on its breakout of a larger consolidation. But with this particular stock, we have just come out of, again, a huge box, which was a breakout of another huge box, and there's even a little tiny spring in here. I'm not going to say this is radically bullish, let's go crazy with it, but it is there. Here's something that you really want to look forward to. These high, narrow areas tend to be good breakouts. This is a Realty Trust company, and again, it was in an area where there was a box which broke out, and then it fell into support, went into another box, and it's broken out again. So that's all pretty bullish. There's a shakeout, followed by a breakout on huge volume. So again, on the list. Train, oh, that's not Train. Who is this? Sherwin-Williams. There you go. Friday it broke out of a huge consolidation. 369 is where it closed. We're going to put that on the list. Now we're starting to get into the stocks that have larger floats. Now, stocks that have larger floats, they still move too. One of the things that you got to remember is that when a fund manager needs to move money, they got a lot of money they need to move. And so if they're interested enough in the right kind of stock, that price is going to move because they all tend to buy the same sorts of things. S&P Global, this was one I've been watching for a while. We're going to use this as training. I'm not going to put it on the list because it's already broken out. Your S&P Global formed into this diamond pattern a while back, and diamonds can be bullish or bearish depending on which way they break, right? So is that useful? Well, yeah, it is. Why? Because it tells you that something's going on, that this is a stock you want to pay attention to. Well, a lot of times a diamond formation also just turns out to be a bull flag, which in this case, that's why I'm showing you there's a bull flag here. You see this? Boom, boom, and it's broke out. It broke out to the upside. But I'm not going to put it on the list because there's nothing going on with it right now. This is a move that has already happened. If you're still in it, stay with it. Goldman Sachs has been consolidating for a while. I actually bought Goldman Sachs, but then I got shook out of it, right? Boom, I got shook out. Well, guess what? Shakeouts happen. I didn't buy back in, but maybe I should have, and I'll tell you why. This huge spike in volume here on the shakeout is very bullish if the stock goes up the next bar, which in this case it did. So you could have been justified in going back in at like 482 and buying back in. But as of right now, I'm going to put this one back on the list because it's in a high level consolidation. If it pushes into a new high, that means all of this was bullish activity. The Equitable, again, all of these financial companies kind of have the same thing going on. So that tells me that they think something is about to happen that's going to make their stocks go up. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. The Equitable, you got a shakeout followed by two boxes. That's bullish. Palo Alto Networks, I've traded in and out of this one, and somehow every time I trade it, I lose money.
And what's so funny about that is I'm always right and I still lose money.
Okay, so here you go. This is a shakeout right out of this base. Now we've made another high level base. The price has not made a 52-week high. I'm going to put this one on the list, but I would be surprised if I trade it. Like I said, once bitten, twice shy. Simon Property Group I actually traded it. I made money on it. I can't remember if I'm still in it or not. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't Simon Property Group. Intuitive Surgical. I traded it. I can't remember if I'm in it or not, but it still looks good, by the way. It just made another high-level consolidation. If you had checked your watch list last week, you'd see it was already on there because it looks good. Netflix.
Everybody talks about Netflix.
Well, guess what? If everybody's talking about it, maybe there's a reason. And usually the reason it's going to go down, okay, I know it's being snarky, but don't buy things because everybody's talking about it. When everybody's talking about something, that usually means it's the end. But what is going on Netflix? Okay, this is a shakeout. There's a spike in volume. It took a week, but it recovered. This is a shakeout. There was a spike in volume before that, made a low, immediately recovered. Now it's in a high-level consolidation. This is extremely bullish. I'm going to put Netflix on the list. Trade Desk. I am in Trade Desk right now. I have 15 shares. We are in a high-level consolidation currently. I bought it on the breakout of this consolidation right here. There should have been a trade alert on it. I don't remember if there was or not. I've had to switch brokers because my trade alert system stopped working. When you receive a trade alert, that is me actually placing a trade. Okay, look at this. Spring, 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 spring. This stock, I believe, is under accumulation and manipulation. I'm going to put it on the list. Congratulations if you got the trade alert. Citizens Financial. This is another financial box. We are 2 box coming off of the shakeout. I'm going to put this one on the list. Even though we have a bunch of financials on there, this chart looks pretty good. Like, look at this breakout, and then your shakeout goes back down to the prior level of support, and then it takes off again. Very bullish. KKR, probably getting ready to go to war. Look at this. High-level tight consolidation. Breaking out of a high-level tight consolidation. Coming off of a spring with another spring, right? So, hey, if World War III breaks out, you'll make a killing on this one. The chart's bullish, so we'll put it on there. Fifth Third Bank. There's another bank. Has that same formation. For whatever reason, people think something's going to happen with these banks. We're going to put it on here because the chart actually looks pretty good. Some of the banks are pretty sloppy. That one, not so much, It looks pretty good. Here's another breakout followed by another box. So you got a big box going into a little box. This is not a spring, but it is a shakeout. What's the difference? Your spring is typically going to have a huge spike in volume that goes along with it. American Express was already on the watch list. That's a spring. It's a breakout. It's got the spike in volume. I need to adjust the colors on my chart and make this easier to see on the video. Maybe I'll do that later. Blackstone. There you go. There's a consolidation. Another consolidation. You have 2 little boxes. Let's put that one on there just because it's worth looking at. Truist Financial. It had a spring like everybody else. Immediately recovered, went into a box, broke out, went into a box. It has not made a 52-week high yet, but it is boxing, and we like boxers. We like boxers. We like smiles. Look at this, U.S. Bank Corp. Here's a breakout on volume, right? Huge spike in volume, followed by an immediate shakeout. What's the shakeout do, though? The shakeout stops right below the point of control, turns around, finds support at the point of control, goes into a box, and then breaks out. I'm going to put this one on the list, even though I don't see a buy point on it this week. It's be worth watching. Oracle. Okay, is Oracle dead or is it going to recover? I don't know. This is a shakeout, but it's not a spring. It's in a box. It's recovered with the rest of the market. It's super volatile, right? So there's that. So I don't know. I'm going to put it on there just so you can track it. But okay, this is one I'm actually in, and I bought on a breakout of this, which really isn't a spring, so I shouldn't call it that, but it is a shakeout. It went into a consolidation, and that's where it is today. We're going to add this on the watch list. It broke out again on Friday. So if you would have been watching this all last week, maybe you would have bought some on Friday because it did break out of the box and close on the high. Last week I bought some Apple, and then I turned around and sold it. Apple is one of the better performing stocks and has been for a long time, but it doesn't look good to me, frankly. I don't know what's going on with Apple, but it kind of looks like it's in distribution, but maybe I'll be wrong about that. Anyway, I'm not going to put it on the list because it doesn't give me the warmies, and I'm trying to teach you how I outperform the market. And it doesn't do me any good to show you a bunch of stocks that, I wouldn't buy anyway.